Right, so in today's video, I just thought I'd do something a little bit different. I'm on the field here with Fred. He's just like running about in his natural habitat. Fred, this way, mate, come on. And I just thought I'd talk a little bit about grass and kind of what I've learned over the past 12 months about lawns and grass types and soil types and how it's had an effect on the way I manage the lawns in my garden and the way I see lawn care. This time last year I was faced with lawns that were in a really dire state, especially the back lawn where I spent so much time trying to get that lawn right, and for whatever reason it came to November, December time and that lawn just started to completely die off. Hey, none of that. Come on, this way. Drop. Oh, he's a menace. He doesn't even listen to me. Fred, come. Here he comes, look at this. He's only after a treat. Good lad. And there he goes, he's off again. We've not got the best dog management, but you know what, he's a happy dog. But yeah, so this time last year the lawns were in a bit of a terrible state and I was trying to discover what it was that I could do to improve them and to get better, because for me I thought that can't be normal. A lawn dying every winter can't be the normal thing. The fact that you have to buy seed every year, the fact that you've got to start from scratch, and it really got me thinking. And that's when I stumbled upon the Lawn Association's YouTube channel. They'd commented on mine and I checked out their stuff, and there's a video they've got, I'll leave a link to it in the description, about grass varieties and the impact that has on the type of lawn that you have, and the fact that they are native to the UK, using bents and fescues. And that really got me thinking, well, if I was to try that myself, what impact would it have? And that led me to kill the lawn off in the back garden, both of them. We seeded one with bent and fescue, we turfed one with a bent fescue turf, and all through the summer they looked amazing. And as we got to the winter, they started to struggle. Certain parts started to die back, and I thought, geez, here we go again, it's going to start. And they never died back, nowhere near as much as they had the previous year. And again, that was the question, was, well, why? And part of me thinks, well, actually some of the grass did die off. They don't look nearly as good now as what they did back in June, July, August, September time. And I think the fact is we lost some of the grass because there was such a density of grass plants in the sward. It meant that lots of the grass was still there, so even though it was thinned, it could almost take the hit. It's a little bit like having money in the bank and having something to pay for that's quite expensive, but you've got the money there, so you kind of take a hit to your balance, but there's still money left over. Whereas with ryegrass, you kind of have £10 in the bank and then you go into debt and it becomes a little bit of a mess. And coming out of winter, what the lawn sort of showed me in these early stages of this year is this might be the way to go. It just makes sense. We do have a bit of a weedgrass problem at the moment, and I think those weeds have taken that opportunity to fill some of the spaces from when the lawn's thinned over the winter, and that's the nature of the beast. You're never going to have a lawn that you're never going to have to do anything to. And I think the fact that I've got quite a small lawn means that some of these weed grasses and weeds that come through tend to stand out a little bit more, and I don't mind that because I feel like it gives a sort of true reflection as to what a normal UK lawn looks like. So what I've learned about grass varieties in the last 12 months is that all grass varieties can survive in the best conditions, but only certain varieties are really going to thrive in those difficult, tricky conditions. And so many UK lawns are fairly small and shaded, similar to mine. Mine probably is more of an extreme example because of the high wall and the wall and the fence at the back, which is quite unusual for the house, really. It's just where the house is being built, and obviously there's nothing we can do about that. But if I can get a lawn growing in that space, then whatever lawn you've got, you can absolutely get growing. Any lawn can look amazing in the summer, literally any lawn. If you chuck a product down, no matter how many weeds there are, no matter how much moss there is, if you put a lawn feed down in the summer, your lawn's going to pop. Get on with a lawnmower with a rear roller and get the stripes, and it's going to look really, really nice. But the real test of a great lawn is, does it survive through winter, or are you starting again? I was that person last year who was saying, oh, but I like the process, I like getting out and overseeding, and I like doing all these things to the lawn. And yeah, that is true, I enjoy those things. This is a hobby to me at the end of the day, and it's doing all those little bits which I find enjoyable. But I tell you one thing I don't find enjoyable is looking at the lawn in December and thinking, look at the state of that, and that being the case until late April, early May. It's a massive chunk of the year. Why would you want a lawn for 6 to 7 months of the year when you can have a decent lawn all year round. And I know some people are going to disagree with me on this. They're going to think you're being paid to say this, or you've been brainwashed by the system, whatever it might be. But lawns are very simple things, and a lot of people overcomplicate them, in my personal opinion, and I don't think we need to. I think there's that many products out there, and I've bought nearly all of them. I've fully bought into, you need to get a compost spreader, you need to get a lawn loop, you need to get a drop spreader, you need to get a fertiliser, a thingamajig, I need to get a cylinder mower. I spent a ridiculous amount of money in the past few years, and partly because this channel supports me in doing that. Not everyone's going to go out and buy loads of different lawnmowers. I think I've got 6 in the garage, and that's just obsessive really, and excessive. There's no reason why I need to have that many, but I think what's quite good is that I have bitten the bullet and bought some of these products that have been promoted on other channels and other places. And what I'm aiming to do this year is produce some content where I look at some of these things and say, are they worth it? Is it worth buying a very expensive cylinder mower? Like, don't get me wrong, I love getting out and cutting the lawn with the Allis. I think it makes the lawn look amazing. It's the quality of the build is unbelievable. However, would I recommend it to someone? Probably not, unless someone's got a little bit of money to burn. I'd probably say I'd avoid it. Maybe if your lawn's like 200-300 square meters, yeah, go for it, because it's self-driving and gives you a nice cut on the lawn. But for a space the size of mine, you don't really need one. Does that mean I'm going to stop using it? Absolutely not. I thought about using the web this year instead of the Allet, and I used the Allet this afternoon. I thought, nah, I'm going with the Allet. I'm going with the Allet for now, because it's a cool bit of kit and it's something that's fairly decent, but really isn't necessary to have a great lawn. What I want to do this year is just keep lawn care as simple as possible. And I know that's going to annoy some people, because they're going to say, well, I'm not an expert and I don't know what I'm talking about, and other people chuck loads of things down, and that's fine. You know, I'm a big believer that you need to look at all the channels on YouTube and read all the things online about lawn care, because it's only through doing that you're going to actually create a really good rounded knowledge of this topic. And you know, it's a good thing to get everyone else's perspectives. But if you want to sort of follow very simple advice, simple tips, use very basic things to get a really great result, then consider subscribing to this channel if you haven't already. I'm almost on like a crusade here of sustainable lawn care and not wasting our money. Think about lawn care as a hobby. You spend your money on products that you put on the lawn, which make the lawn grow, and then all we do with the lawn is then cut it down and take what we've cut off it and put it in the wheelie bin. We're kind of like throwing our money away essentially, and I think we can be fooled into thinking that we need to buy 50,000 things. I sometimes see Instagram posts where people have bought like 4 or 5 different products in like February or March time, and this year in particular I've thought, you don't need them all. You really don't need them. I think you got to look at what is the impact of them on the normal residential lawn. We're not running golf courses, because if you can have a boss lawn with doing next to nothing to it, or just really basic things, then why wouldn't you want to do that? Why wouldn't you want to do it in the easiest possible way? And that way you get to the summer, you can enjoy your lawn, and even in the winter you can look out your kitchen window and think, right, I've still got a lawn. I think about my front one, and it's a ryegrass sort of fescue lawn at the moment, and no matter the time of year, it looks fairly decent because it's in really good conditions. But if yours isn't, if it's not in a favourable area, then it might be worth considering going with something different and trying something different. And what's the worst that can happen? If you go with Ben Fescue this year, the worst thing that can happen is that you kill it off next year, go back to ryegrass, and let the cycle sort of start again. Because that's it with gardening, you can make a decision, and it's like with anything in life, you can decide to do something, but everything's reversible. As we always say on this channel, no one's gonna die. So yeah, it's a bit of a rambly one this time, and I've not made a video like this before, but I just thought I'd kind of share my views on what I've learned so far this year, what this year's kind of going to look like on the Novice Gardener channel. And hopefully it keeps growing, we keep sharing things. I'm not an expert, but I'm learning along the way, and maybe one day, maybe in 10 years, maybe in 20 years time, if this channel's still going, we can kind of rebrand it to Expert Gardener. But I'd never proclaim to be one without the knowledge, but this is the journey now. This is the journey to gain that knowledge, to become that expert, and hopefully a load of people along with the ride with this can learn along the way too. So thanks for watching today's video. Like it if you enjoyed the ramble. You might have listened to this as a podcast whilst you're in the car and making your tea, because that's usually what I do with podcasty kind of videos. And yes, subscribe if you haven't already, follow along if you want to. Finally, thanks for watching.